Hello and welcome to Cliff Reviews Art House. This time I'm reviewing the 1999 film Rosetta, directed by Jean-Pierre and Luc Dardenne. Rosetta is one of those films that feels almost like an experiment in how much you can say with how little. The Dardenne brothers strip everything down to the bare essentials. Almost no music, a threadbare story, handheld camera work that stays right up close to the characters. At first it can feel sparse, even bleak, but the more time you spend with it, the more you realise how much they're managing to communicate through this minimalism. The story itself is disarmingly simple. Rosetta, played with extraordinary intensity by Emily Dequesne, lives with her chaotic alcoholic mother in a trailer park. She's desperately trying to find a job, and what becomes clear very quickly is that her unemployment is not for lack of effort. Her life is a permanent struggle. We hardly see her smile. There is one moment when she seems to find a fragile kind of happiness. She has a job, a place to sleep, and a friend. That night she whispers these things to herself as she falls to sleep, like a mantra. It's poignant because it's so little, and yet for Rosetta it's everything, and of course it all slips away. The Dardennes highlight the mundane, the repetitive, the trivial, but they make it really meaningful. One striking motif in this film is Rosetta's Wellington boots. Each time she returns to the trailer park, she retrieves them from a hiding place in the woods, swapping them for her shoes. We watch her doing this several times. At one point, when she notices another pair of boots in a junk-filled room, she asks if she can have them. It's intriguing what the significance of this is. It's not obvious. The boots become part of her ritual of survival, a symbol of her poverty and marginality, but also of her stubborn resistance. I think they literally ground her in the mud and cold of the campsite, reminding us that life for Rosetta is a physical battle as much as an emotional one. By showing us this act repeatedly, the Dardennes almost force us to put the boots on with her, to inhabit her struggle through the most ordinary of details. The camera work is handheld and intimate, almost claustrophobic. When there's a fight or a scuffle, we're not watching from a safe distance, we're inside it, being shoved around with her. The film never lets us relax. It's relentless in showing us the difficulties Rosetta faces and the chaos of her life. Yet it's done with such spareness and restraint, it never feels manipulative. Unlike a Yorgos Lanthimos film, for example, where characters are often tortured almost for effect, the relentlessness here feels honest. We don't know Rosetta's backstory, but we don't need to. The repetition, the spareness, the physicality, it all makes us become her. I can understand that some people might find Rosetta too bleak, too thin, even exploitative in its focus on misery, but I don't think this is the case. For me, the repetition and minimalism are the point. The film has a certain grace to it. It communicates the weight of poverty and exclusion, not through grand statements, but through small mundane actions which somehow become deeply profound. I did feel that there are echoes of Bresson's Mouchette in Rosetta. Both films centre on teenage girls trapped in bleak domestic circumstances, hemmed in by poverty and hostility, and both find a way to communicate suffering through repetition and the smallest of physical acts. Like Mouchette, Rosetta is surrounded by figures who dismiss or abuse her. And like Mouchette, she rarely knows kindness. The scraps of comfort she finds are fleeting. But whereas Bresson gives his heroine an untouchable inner beauty, a grace that shines even as she's brutalised, the Dardennes immerse us in a raw survival. Rosetta's grace is not ethereal but physical. The repeated act of her pulling on her hidden Wellington boots, trudging through mud and cold, becomes her ritual of persistence. If Mouchette ends with a tragic transcendence, Rosetta leaves us with a more ambiguous resilience, sparing us consolation but forcing us to feel the weight of her struggle. Even Rosetta's name seems to carry meaning. It inevitably recalls the Rosetta Stone, the key that unlocked hidden codes. In a way, Rosetta herself functions like that. She's the figure through who we're forced to confront the realities of poverty, translating them into something we can no longer ignore. At the same time, Rosetta means little rose, which adds a poignant irony. Her life is full of mud, cold and harshness, yet there is a fragile beauty that persists in her. One other interesting point, Emily DeQuenne died of cancer aged 43 earlier this year. Of course, her death has no connection to a film made 26 years ago, but there's something about watching Rosetta now that feels even more poignant. Her performance carries a stubborn grace in the mud and chaos, and knowing her life was cut short only makes that grace shine more brightly. As with all the Dardenne films I've seen, there's no neat resolution here, just ambiguity. But the restraint, the refusal to offer easy sentiment, this is what makes the film so powerful. In showing us the banality of Rosetta's struggle, the mud, the cold, the wellies, the Dardennes create something deeply moving. A film that lingers not because of what it tells us, because of what it makes us feel. I highly recommend this film. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.